For over a decade you have demonized me and my religion. You have spoken for me, and said that I am oppressed, but you never truly want to listen to what I have to say. I don't wear the niqab, face veil, and you still can't see my face. You can't see my body language, but I know you can understand me clearly. Let me say this clearly, what Muslim women wear, is none of your business. If it scares you or makes you feel uncomfortable, then I suggest you look the other way, look down or look up, but know that we don't dress to please you. You are insignificant to us, and we think you should keep your backwards opinions to yourself. Yes, it is backwards to be intolerant of the beliefs of others. It is backwards to think that the European way of life is superior to the way of life of others. Learn from history and know that in early Islam, women were businesswomen, ministers, scholars and warriors who fought men on the battlefields. Learn from history that only as far back as 150 years ago in Europe, the intellectual men amongst you were having a debate to decide whether women have souls or not, and whether a woman could even be classified as a human being. Yes, you have come far, and thank God that you did. However, this does not make you superior, it just makes you more clever than what you were 150 years ago. You suggest that you want to liberate Muslim women from oppressive Muslim men and oppressive Islam, but if you learn from history as I mentioned above, we really don't need your liberation. I think you really need to look at yourselves and liberate women from being on page 3. This is truly oppressive to view women as sexual objects and is offensive to most women of all faiths and no faith. If you were people of dignity and honor, you would stop belittling other religions and start a nationwide campaign against pornography and the exploitation of women in advertisements. Your constant barrage of hatred towards Muslims have caused a significant rise in Islamophobia. As a result, far-right groups were elected to represent their people in many parts of Europe. Your encouragement of Islamophobia has also led to attacks on Muslim women who wear the hijab, headscarf, and niqab. However, this is rarely covered by you. I put it to you, you don't care about British Muslim women. So please stop pretending. A recent report in The Guardian stated a 20% increase in Islamophobic attacks since last year. Many incidents are not reported due to mistrust. 54% of the victims that do come forward are female. This is the result of your Islamophobic reportings. Don't say you are just reporting the truth, as the New Statesman clearly states that no other faith group receives this inaccurate and malicious treatment in the press. It is strange that you report many cases of the terrorist plot, but fail to mention the root cause for terrorism. You never mention how unethical British foreign policy is. All Muslims know his is the real cause of terrorism. Are you really a news outlet trying to give information to the masses, or are you nothing but a mouthpiece for the government? From the halal meat saga to the fake Trojan horse letter, the Muslims are beginning to realize that it is your fault that Islamophobia is on the increase. I often used to think, how could the German people allow 6 million Jews to be massacred by their leaders and military personnel? Now I know, the people of influence created hatred for the Jewish people, that they allowed their extermination just because they were of a different faith. The people of influence dictated how Jews were viewed by the masses, as terrorists and vile human beings. This is exactly the message you are giving today about Muslims. However, I have faith in the majority of the British people, and I know not all of them believe in the scaremongering that you put out there. For now anyway. There is one thing that is totally unforgivable, that is your decades-long support for the Zionist apartheid state, and how the majority of your articles are biased towards Israel. Are you too racist to show Arabs as equals to Israelis? You seem to demonize Palestinians by referring to them as militants and referring to Israel as the only democracy in the area. You fail to remind your readers that it is in fact the Western governments that installed their puppets to oppress the people of that land and deny them their self-determination. You have given the voice to the Zionists even though they have occupied land illegally and killed 1,500 children within the last 13 years. That's one child every 3 days. You don't even know the names of our dead. Over 1,400 Palestinians were killed by the Zionist regime in Operation Pillar of Cloud. One child was just 1 year old. The honest truth is that you don't care because you don't see them as equals. You don't see Muslim children the same as non-Muslim children. If you did, you would not call the killing of the Palestinian boy, Mohammed Abu Qadir, a revenge killing, you would call it what it was, murder by illegal immigrants. He was burnt to death, imagine what he went through. You support this by not showing both sides of the story. If you were fair, then you would say that this isn't the first time Zionists have tortured young boys and would highlight the plight of Palestinian children in Israeli prisons. Boys as young as 11 are arrested and tortured. If you were fair, you would report about the thousands of Israeli checkpoints scattered over Palestine, and how in the West Bank you must pass 2 for every journey. Imagine in London, how horrendous it would be just to get to work if you had to go through checkpoints. Imagine also that the people doing the interrogations at the checkpoint are foreigners. You would care when it's happening to you. You fail to remind your readers about Nakba. This will give them a deeper understanding of the situation. 750,000 Palestinians were expelled from their homes, and the Zionists committed 31 massacres and destroyed 531 Palestinian towns. Since 1967, 27,000 home and other structures have been destroyed to make way for illegal immigrants. You fail to mention the curfews imposed on Palestinian civilians who then become prisoners in their own homes. You fail to mention how the peace talks never are truly just, and how Israel is given more than the indigenous people who have lived there for centuries. The Oslo Accord, peace talks, gave the control of Palestinian air, space and natural resources to Israel. The land that was proposed to the Palestinians would be broken up into 4 or 5 pieces as divided by Israeli settlement and roads. You fail to mention that no sane Palestinian would have accepted this. If a Muslim nation was to do that to a non-Muslim country, we all know that it would be over your front page for many weeks. Your articles would sympathize with the people so much so that it would justify going to war with that country. I don't even have to tell you about what's happening now. You should already know. However, you want to show your viewers about the rockets that Hamas are firing and ignore the white phosphorus bombs that the Zionist apartheid state is dropping on a civilian area. The Muslims are waking up. For many years we have tolerated your lies, but not anymore. There will be a time when mainstream Western media will be totally irrelevant as the masses will not believe anything about them. I would really like to know why you never give the voice to mainstream Muslims? Actually, don't bother, we already know, because they will expose your double standards. That's why you give the voice to Muslims, who don't represent anyone, as they say what you want them to say. As a Muslim woman, I want to say how disgusted I am in your reporting.